CNN is reporting that the first charges have been filed in special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. CBS News has not confirmed this, and CNN says it does not know what the charges are. CBS News can confirm Andrew Weissman, who is on Mueller's special counsel team, was at court today, where the grand jury meets. A spokesperson for special counsel Mueller declined to comment. CBSN political contributor and Associated Press White House correspondent Zeke Miller joins us on the phone. Zeke, what are you hearing?
Not much beyond what you just ran down. Certainly we know that Robert Mueller's team has been gathering and investigating people in the Trump orbit in the issue of Russian collusion, Russian involvement, interference in the 2016 presidential election. We don't know specifically who they've been looking at, though we do know that they've been, we don't know specifically what they've discovered, but we know that they've been talking to people like Michael Flynn, the president's former national security advisor, Paul Manafort, his former campaign chairman. He's also interviewed people like Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer so far. So it's not, the most likely folks here, the names that we've heard over and over again are Flynn and Manafort. Those are folks who have, in Flynn's case, it's a question of his involvement, non-disclosure of things on his security classification forms. And in Manafort's case, his business dealings overseas with business people tied to the Kremlin. So there are a lot of questions. Certainly, it's not clear who the specific target of this grand jury indictment is, assuming the CNN report does pan out.
And we also want to bring in CBS News security analyst and former assistant director of the FBI, Ron Hosko. Ron, if charges have been filed, how significant would that be?
Well, I think it's significant in that it suggests to us that something criminal in the Trump orbit occurred. And it may be nothing more than that. It may be a single charge against a single person. My supposition this early on in the investigation, and I do believe it is early on in the investigation, is that these would be fairly discrete charges, not something that would be akin to a sprawling conspiracy, a participant in a significant conspiracy, but something fairly narrow and discrete, like a false statement charge, maybe a FARA filing, failure to file as a register as a foreign agent. There were discussions about both Mike Flynn and Paul Manafort in that regard. So I would think that it would be something that would be almost low-hanging fruit with a single person that is unable or unwilling to give Mueller and his investigators anything more. And they thought, hey, this is as good a time as any to bring a charge, and let's check this, box off and move on.
So are you saying, Ron, if they charge this person or people, that they would force them to give them more information?
Potentially. This is can be akin to a chess match with federal prosecutors, where you have a would-be defendant who says, I have nothing to offer, and the government feels like they have more, and they come back and they indict them to see if the squeeze from an almost inevitable conviction and jail sentence might loosen their lips, might stir their recollection. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Very often, if somebody is cooperative, the federal government will file what's known as an information. Is essentially moving towards a plea agreement with agreed upon terms. If this is in fact an indictment, it suggests that Mueller and the defendant or defendants are still in an adversarial position, that they haven't reached that sort of agreement. So we're going to have to wait and see to see if determine if what's being reported by others is accurate and what its scope is.
And going back to Zeke now, Zeke, can you remind us how long this grand jury has been impaneled? And are there other grand juries as well looking at Russian meddling, grand juries that have been impaneled by special counsel Robert Mueller?
Well, we know there was an initial grand jury that was impaneled in Virginia, Northern Virginia, which the assumption had been that it was looking into Mike Flynn, the former national security advisor, and that had been going on for more than 6 months. But once the special counsel was established in May after the firing of Jim Comey. That there was a grand jury that has sort of been impaneled in Washington. So it's been going on at least since that point, roughly. Obviously, grand jury proceedings are secret. It's unusual even to find out that an indictment has been handed down here like this, and we might not find out the specifics of this case for even a couple of days. But this has been going on for a while. It is, certainly, this is coming down a little bit sooner than most people in Washington expect. And nobody was, every indication we've got from people around Mueller, the Justice Department in general, the people on Capitol Hill has been that this is going to be a very long and drawn-out investigation. So if this is a discrete charge, this is not something we should be reading into sort of the direction that the Mueller probe will take. That if this is just one specific charge, but we'll really need to know more before we can make those judgments. And
Ron, as Zeke was saying, we do need to know more. But what do you think could happen next if an indictment was actually handed down?
Well, my expectation would be that either there's an arranged surrender or that FBI agents would be tasked to go out and secure the person's arrest. There would be a hearing where the defendant would be advised of their charges. One of the advantages of doing this thing by virtue of federal grand jury is that, the details of the charge, other than the raw charge, the details of what was put into the grand jury, who might have testified, what was the factual basis, may not be known for some period of time. And certainly if there's cooperation, that may be an extended period of time.
Are you surprised, Ron, at the timing of this, if this news is actually true?
No, I can't say that I am, because I would expect that Bob Mueller and company has some very seasoned, experienced prosecutors working with him, that it wouldn't be too surprising in the atmosphere of Washington, D.C., where people go from government to private industry. They out to make a lot of money. They miscalculate, and it wouldn't surprise me if people have miscalculated in what they have reported on federal government forms and what they have stated to FBI agents conducting investigation. And, again, not to diminish the seriousness of even a 1001, a false statement charge, but that would be, akin to essentially low-hanging fruit. I think there's going to be availability for Mueller to probably do that in more than one occasion, and I would think he would avail himself of it.
So to be continued. Zeke Miller and Ron Hosko, thank you.